Welcome to Up to the Minute. Good morning to you. Thanks for being here. It is Monday, December the 7th, and we've got your HCC news and information. As we mentioned at the top, it's December the 7th, a very special and solemn day for Americans, as it's known as Pearl Harbor Day. We're going to talk more about that in the show, but 79th anniversary of this tragic event led us into the Pacific War. We'll talk more about that as we get on with the show. I've got a couple of co-hosts joining me this morning. One of them out in Stafford joins me every Monday. Of course, Raquel Sims is going to be giving us an update out there. Good morning to you, Raquel.
Good morning, and thank you for having me, and I hope everyone had a good weekend.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. We're going to check in with you in just a little while. Brittany Pacheco joining us as well. Good morning, Brittany.
Good morning, Todd and Raquel and everyone else joining us for this morning's edition of Up to the Minute. We're so very grateful to have you join us, especially for this 79th anniversary of Pearl Harbor. We've got a very important and special guest who's going to talk more about that, but we also are joined by another guest, which Todd will introduce very shortly. But before we get into it, I do want to remind everyone to go ahead and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and our YouTube channel. If you already have not done so, you can subscribe, hit that notification bell on YouTube so you can find out the latest uploads from us. And last but not least, we do encourage everyone to share this podcast so that not only we can grow our audience, but we can share important information to everyone who isn't following us. So Todd, take it away.
Thanks, Brittany. We'll check in with you later on in the show. Right now, as we mentioned, two special guests. Jeff Kopseta is the Living History Coordinator and Education Assistant at the Admiral Nimitz Foundation in the Pacific War Museum. He joins us live now from Fredericksburg. Good morning to you, Jeff.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
It's great. Good to see you again. It's, this is a very solemn day for Americans. A lot of history in this day, and a day we need to learn from. I know you're in a very special exhibit right now. Maybe you can tell us about where you are in just a little while. We'll talk more about the significance of today.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. We'll stand by. We'll be with you shortly. Right now, we're going to kick things off with Debra Schultz. And Debra is with Houston Community College. She's the Visual and Performing Arts Center of Excellence Drama Program Coordinator. Good morning to you, Debra.
Good morning.
You guys have a very special event coming up. The HCC Visual and Performing Arts classes have been using social media, and you've got something coming up called Love in 2020. Tell us about this, because it sounds kind of like an interesting event.
Yeah, we are faced in the drama program with a very interesting dilemma with all of the shutdown and not being able to be on campus with each other. You know, social distance 6 feet away does not work when you're trying to do acting scenes. So we had to come up with a way for our drama majors to still fulfill their contractual agreement with the degree plan and actually produce something this fall. And we decided that we would try to do an event that kind of broached the idea of what does theater look like when you can't do what theater actually is. Theater is actually live communication between performers and audience. And when the audience isn't there, what do you do? So we came up with the idea of having all of the technology be used, whether it be Zoom or FaceTime or those kind of concepts of just finding ways to communicate with each other during 2020. And we talked about the idea of, well, what does love look like? Of all the things, how do you find it? How does it happen? You know, what is it maybe going to be like when this is all over and you actually get to be in the same room with that person? So we've put together, predominantly with the help of the students, most of the pieces that we're going to be doing in this event are written or conceived by the students, and then facilitated by myself, Michael Flanagan, Elisa Deal, and Kathy Schneider, those of us in the drama program, in order to kind of fine-tune something into a performance where no performance can happen.
And tell me about that, because I imagine being a drama student, your goal is to get on stage, deliver your performance, project, interact with the audience, see their expression, but you can't do that via Zoom or in a virtual world. So that's got to be heartbreaking on one hand, but then on the other hand, it could spark some creativity in doing something new and out of your comfort zone.
Exactly. Normally, you know, as an actor, you're rehearsing and going through the process of getting ready to be in front of a live audience. And we always tell our students, it doesn't matter what the audience actually does, it shouldn't affect your performance. But we all know inherently that it does. If they don't laugh at a joke, it affects how you go into the next line. Yeah. If they laugh at a place you never expected to be funny or purposely didn't mean it to be funny, that affects how you move forward. So now your only audience is your camera. And there's no feedback. And that's been the hardest part for the students, but it has also allowed us and the students to get more creative. One of the things that, for example, I found out with the group I was working with was I have a student who is English second language. What we didn't realize during the regular rehearsal period, that he was going home, translating everything into Arabic, then learning it in Arabic, retranslating it back to English to bring on stage to us, right? And we were wondering why certain things just weren't happening. Well, being able to work in this kind of medium, we were able to, you know, trying to put pieces together, suddenly this conversation was had. And so one of the things that he's done is the monologue that he has in our Voyages of Love section, the 3 monologues that hook together, that's finding love, falling in love, and falling out of love. He's actually able to do it in Arabic and allow him to have that ability where we can scroll, you know, the subtitles to say, here's what's actually going on, but to allow the student to have full access to everything, that we're in a language where they don't have to stop and think.
Wow.
And it's created bigger conversations for us moving forward. How are we going to address this? We just kind of weren't even thinking about it, which is bad on us. But if nothing else, then we've learned to embrace what the students have more naturally. And we've already talked about how we're going to incorporate this more in the future. So it's super exciting to be able to do that and to give the students a different kind of freedom. And it's really been about the students, because I can tell you from the director teacher side, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Right. Having that personal interaction and being able to be in the space and share the energy, and sometimes just by a director being in the room and being calm or getting super excited can help instill something within the students. But doing it this way doesn't work. But for the students, it's really broken open their creativity. They were allowed a certain freedom that they might not be otherwise. And we just kind of said, let's go with this. Let's do what we can do. Let's let them be as creative as they want to be.
How do you prepare for something like this as a student and as a director?
Lots and lots of these kind of calls. You know, seems like hours and hours and hours, although it's been a different process. You know, normally it's been in a regular play production structure, you know, you're Monday through Thursday, 7 to 10 p.m., hours on Saturday, all together, all sharing that vibe and energy and the push forward to having a live audience. With this, it's been much more isolated. It's been more one-on-one, which I said is great because we were able to have that conversation. But then it's also been a little bit distracting for students when we do scenes because there is a lag. No matter how good and clean you can get to your connections, you can't do that ability of, oh, now I'm going to overlap the line or I'm going to pick the line up. So the actual rehearsal of it has been a little bit more like, now we do line, now the next line comes, which is a different skill. It's not something that the students are used to. It's not something that we as directors are used to being able to say, wait, you have to wait a second. You got to wait for the camera to kick over. You got to wait for this, where we're usually like, come on, pick it up. You know, I don't care if you overrun their last word. Well, that doesn't work necessarily when you don't know the last word, when the last word is going to come. So it's been kind of a different mindset for everybody. Little more stressful. I would be lying if I didn't say it was way more stressful, at least for me. And to also not have that ability to, with the student to the last possible second, be able to say there and say, okay, this is what you're going to do. To be able to have to let them go off and go, okay, so we've done everything we can do in this medium. Now you need to go and record this. And then
where if people want to see the show, where can they see it? You're going to be on digital platforms. Where can they watch it? How do they do so? Because they're probably watching here going, I really want to see this. How can they do it? And will it be available after the live performance?
It will be available. What we actually did, we had done a true live performance in the spring when things got all crazy and shut down. With this time, we decided there were too many kind of moving parts and it made things much more awkward and things didn't flow the way we wanted them to do. So what we've actually done is we've pre-recorded everything, and then Tony Sutherland Rao, they're at HCCTV, yay, part of our drama faculty as well, has been so kind to edit all of these pieces together. And we're going to actually premiere it on Wednesday, the 9th. It's going to be on the HCCTV YouTube page. I believe we're also pushing it to Facebook. If you go to the Center of Excellence for Visual and Performing Arts and check out our events, there's actually all the information you need there through ID Loom as to how you'll be able to actually access. All the links will be there. And our plan is to have it live in perpetuity, since everything we've done is fair game, because that's been another consideration that we've had to have is, do we have to pay royalties for something?
Well, Debra, it's going to be a great event, and we've enjoyed working with your team. I know Dr. Rayo Sutherland has been very involved with you, and we're so honored to play a part in guiding you guys through this digital world. It's new for all of us, but we're glad to help you out on that. Folks, if you want to check out the show, we're going to put a link for it in the social media post for the show, and also the link for the drama department so you can explore all of their programs. Debra, we want to thank you for joining us on the show this morning and updating us. Good luck in the performance.
Thank you so much. And I know the students will like to hear any kind of comments that can come back from folks just to appreciate their work. Normally I tell them the only payment they get for this is applause. So any kind of virtual applause we can get is greatly appreciated.
Thanks, Debra. Good luck to you and stay safe.
Thanks.
All right. We are going to move on to Jeff in Fredericksburg, Texas. And Jeff, I want to welcome you once again to the show. You've been on the show before. Tell us, first off, it's a very significant day. We're going to get to that in a moment, but tell us about where you are right now, because you're in an exhibit which you've told us is very emotional.
Yeah, of course, today being the 79th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor, found it fitting to come to you live from our Pearl Harbor exhibit within the George Bush Gallery here at the National Museum of the Pacific War. We have a lot of one-of-a-kind artifacts scattered throughout the complex, but of course, the Pearl Harbor exhibit just in itself is a very emotional exhibit. And of course, the artifact behind me is one that really stands out, as really one that really evokes the emotion of that day.
And the exhibit behind you, maybe you can explain what that is about, because this is a hatch behind you, and I know there's a tragic story behind it.
Absolutely. So, of course, the infamous battleship, the USS Arizona, that was sunk and took over 1,000 sailors to their death that morning. This is actually a hatch from the Arizona. Now, this is it's very significant because this kind of shows you, if you can see kind of a darker line right here about halfway down the hatch, this line was stained from the oil that was sitting on top of the water in the harbor. But to put that into perspective, this hatch was typically about 20 or so feet above the water line. So this is, as the Arizona has now sunk to the bottom of the harbor, this is now underwater. And this kind of odd shaped hole that you see cut at the top was really just cut by rescue workers using torches, trying to get to the other side of the hatch to get to those sailors before they succumb to their death. And, like I said, almost a third of all of those service members and civilians that were killed that day were killed here on the Arizona.
Incredible. And, it's breathtaking, when you think about everything that those brave men and women went through on that day. I want to ask you, first off, people may be tuning in right now and they're thinking, wait a second, Fredericksburg, why are you guys in Fredericksburg? But the museum is named after Admiral Nimitz, and there's a very strong connection in the Fredericksburg, Texas area.
Absolutely. Of course, Admiral Chester Nimitz, being a native of Fredericksburg, part of our museum complex is in his grandfather's hotel that he ran in the 1880s here in Fredericksburg, and Nimitz kind of growing up in and around the hotel. So yeah, very personal connection. And that ties in with today. Somebody had to kind of take the fall for the attack on Pearl Harbor. And at the time, that was Admiral Husband Kimmel, who was Commander-in-Chief of the Pacific Fleet at the time of Pearl Harbor. So Admiral Nimitz, being his successor, took over about 3 weeks, right at the end of December. He was basically ordered out to Pearl and told not to come back until the war was won. And that's exactly what Admiral Nimitz did.
And Admiral Nimitz then went off, and the rest of it was legend. Really, what happened with the U.S. Navy and the way they battled and eventually won that war. But tell us today, though, when we were hit by Pearl Harbor, most Americans, it took them by surprise, and then we were kind of launched into the second part of a war at that time. Maybe you can describe the feelings that Americans were going through at that time. I mean, I'm sure that you weren't there yourself, neither was I or any of us, but you can kind of sum up what you've heard and what you've read through the testimonies.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the morning of Sunday, December 7th, dawned probably like any other morning in Pearl. It's a beautiful place to be stationed, lots to do. And you got to think this is, we're coming into Christmas shopping season. We just had Thanksgiving. So probably things couldn't be better. And really the country as a whole was still kind of standing firm with that isolationist policy. The war was somewhere else. It was in Europe. It was in Southeast Asia. It wasn't here. And of course, that all changed in just a matter of hours on that morning.
And what do you have today going on at the museum? Because I imagine you do have a number of things in your program to commemorate this special day.
Absolutely. So yeah, at 11:55 this morning Central Time, which is 7:55 Hawaii time, which is kind of the time that was agreed upon as really the first attack, the first of the two waves were seen overhead at Pearl. Kind of the kickoff of the attack is 7:55 in the morning. So 11:55 Central Time, we're going to be doing a virtual Pearl Harbor commemorative program that you can find on our website. And of course, it will be featured if you subscribe to our YouTube channel later. But yeah, very important. I hope everybody gets to tune in because, as some of your other guests are mentioning, this is how we have to do things. We can't do it live right now in front of the public, but we're doing the best that we can to make sure that what happened that day, which was the date to live in infamy, we're going to make sure that it stays that way and it's never forgotten.
And for folks who can't make it there, you're going to be live on YouTube and they can catch it through your website. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. PacificWarMuseum.org. And we have a lot of other events as well that we commemorate through videos and virtual programming that is scattered all through social media and of course through YouTube. Just please make sure you go to our website and check it out and see if you can get involved and help us in any way.
As Americans looking at the situation and the climate around the world today, what can we learn from that day and what Admiral Nimitz launched into afterwards? What can we learn from that right now?
Absolutely. I think it's arguable to say that, our identity as Americans, as this can-do, the American patriot, really was probably forged from the destruction of December 7th. It really propelled the country to a superpower that we enjoy today. So never give up. Really is, I think, the best thing because it looked very bleak. Admiral Nimitz took charge of a Navy that was really at its low. And within, just a few short years to be able to not only dominate our enemy in the Pacific, but also simultaneously the enemy in Europe as well. And to be able to do that, when we looked at where we were that day, it must have seemed very bleak. It was definitely a position that I'm sure nobody else really would want to be in his shoes. But that's what makes us Americans. We take it, but we always conquer. We always stand tall, and we will always get through it. And I feel that's the exact same way with what we're doing, with what we're dealing with right now.
I had one grandfather who was stationed in Europe in World War II. The other one was in the Pacific War. They are called the greatest generation. Your thoughts on that?
I absolutely agree. And of course, it's a shame that a lot of times the greatest generation was kind of the silent generation. We find as these guys are passing on that, there was a trunk in the attic that their grandkids or great grandkids found, never knew granddaddy did what he did. A lot of times when you ask the greatest generation, they always refer to their parents as the greatest generation because they raised such fine men and women. It really was a generation destined, for this unbelievable destiny, just this coincidence of time. And yes, sir, in my opinion, they really are the greatest generation.
And it wasn't just people signing up because, this event launched millions of Americans to sign up and go to war. But here at the home front, people went to work for the cause, to support the troops, to work in factories, Rosie the Riveter, all that was sparked out of the same thing. So there was a movement to not just go off to protect the country and freedom, but to support them who are out there in the field as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's exactly what Admiral Yamamoto was referring to. He was kind of the architect of the attack of Pearl Harbor. And it's been said that he was afraid that all they had done is awakened a sleeping giant and filled him with a giant resolve. And that sleeping giant was what he was referring to, the industrial might of what America became, to have civilian manufacturing converting to military production seemingly overnight. Typewriter companies and jukebox companies were building rifles and bombers. Everybody get, Fords and Chryslers, they don't look any different from the 1941 model to the 1945 model. Yeah. Because they were all, building tanks and aircraft. And so it really was a nation all coming together, and it had to be. It was the only way we would be successful, is to everybody come together on the home front as well as on the front lines. It really was a full country effort.
Jeff Kopseta, we appreciate you joining us from the Pacific War Museum in Fredericksburg. Stay safe out there, and we look forward to seeing your activities on YouTube today.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day.
Thank you. And we're going to move on to our HCC news and information. Of course, every Monday we tune in to see what's going on in Fort Bend County, particularly Stafford. We've got a campus out there, and we've got Raquel Sims joining us with the happenings out in Stafford. Good morning again, Raquel.
Good morning to you again, Todd. And I'm just still just blown away by Jeff's interview and how that is just inspired me. I love seeing historical artifacts like that. So that was pretty cool to see that this morning, which honestly just leads me right into everything. So the Fort Bend Museum is actually doing a really unique and cool exhibit since we have COVID-19 just going on. Instead of having an exhibit in person, they wanted to reach out to the community to see how they saw this pandemic from a distance. And so they're going to be sending in pictures, and it's going to be a social media thing, of course, that has been really creating a wave, like the theater department as well. So they're going to be doing an exhibit called From a Distance in stores like HEB. If you were inspired to color throughout this time, sharing those elements that really inspired you. So that's going to be From a Distance by the Fort Bend Museum. Also, the Houston Museum of Natural Science gave an update on their reopening, with safety guidelines and how they're planning to open up the George Observatory. So that's pretty exciting because I know everyone has been trying to get back in the swing of things. We're just going, I like going to the museum. I don't know about anybody else, but they said that the numbers have grown. They received more people coming into the museum than they ever have before. So just seeing how they've got back up to speed with that, with practicing safety guidelines, is pretty cool. And then also the Coalition to Combat Human Trafficking really wants to alert the community. Even though we are on social media, finding new ways to integrate with just community in trying to do things, there's also a hazard that has increased in regards to human trafficking. Since people are spending more time on social media, that is opening up another doorway for people to, be led in and segue in. So they put an article out just in regards to what to be on alert for, how to notice the red flags, in your friends if they seem to be acting weird or so on and so forth. So I encourage everyone to go to their website and see how you can learn tips on how to be aware of human trafficking, because it's a lot of stuff going on out here. So I just want to mention that. And then also, if you aren't doing so already, please follow us on Facebook at HCC Stafford TV Studio, and on our YouTube as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe on HCC Stafford TV Studio as well, so that way you can keep up with the latest news features that we are producing. And follow us on Twitter as well at HCC Stafford SW. HCCSW TV Stafford. Thank you again, Todd, for having me.
All right.
Nice
Thanks, Raquel. Good to see you, Raquel. Stick around. We appreciate you being here. We'll check in with you in a little while. So, Brittany, it is a big week for our students, especially the ones who are graduating, and that's going to be coming up later in the week.
Yeah, we have like this little thing, it's no big deal. It's not like a rite of passage or anything. It's graduation. Of course, it's a huge deal. I mean, and especially in this time of COVID, where everyone pretty much had to just shift and maybe have to do their classes 100% online, limited access to campus. I mean, come on, they still did it. They achieved their goal. That's the end game for everything. So we do want to acknowledge the hard work of our graduates, and Student Life has created a Kudos Board for faculty and staff to leave their congratulatory messages and remarks. So you can share your messages for fall 2020 graduates throughout Grad Week, and messages will be shared throughout our graduation festivities. Check your emails for the link. That way you can participate, give a shout out, and we'd love to hear from our faculty and staff words of encouragement as our students complete this chapter of their life and move on. So be sure to check out our social media posts for all of our graduation activities. They're going on throughout the week.
And speaking of graduation, it just naturally would make sense to move on to Grad Week. So we're going to alert our director to let him know we're going to move down to the events going on Grad Week. Celebrate your success. Student Life and Rec Sports are ready to celebrate this momentous I cannot talk this morning. It's a Monday. It's a big achievement for you folks, with a week-long list of activities planned leading up to graduation. We will hit on some of them, and you can check out all the activities at hccs.edu/graduation. They've got graduation characters. Let's see. We also got grad trivia, grad fitness. So if you're a grad, stay fit. Grad only bingo. And the Student Life Grad Party, which I imagine, that's going to be pretty cool. 6 p.m. Thursday, December the 10th, exclusive virtual grad party with DJ High C. And he's from 97.9 The Box, and a chance to win gift cards and a way to connect with fellow graduates. So there's all your grad activities all rolled into one little segment. Brittany, you want to tell them about setting up success for the future?
Well, I want to tell you it's momentous.
Yeah, okay.
Momentous.
Move on from that, all right? Move right on.
Moving right on. Yes, but in order to achieve graduation, you have to be successful. And we have a way to set up your future success. So plan for a fruitful financial future with these information sessions from HCC Financial Aid. Now, students can learn how to pay for college, the different types of aids, because there's grants, scholarships, loans, and how to complete the FAFSA application. Now, this is open to the public, which I love. Now, going on Monday through Friday, beginning today, December 7th, all the way through this Friday, December 11th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. sessions. Check your emails to register, or you can actually click on our hashtag #WeAreHCC on our social media pages where you do see it available. That way you can just see all the workings of what's going on with HCC.
All right, cool. Let's move on to Rec Sports. You want to go and tell us what's going on there, Raquel? Free Fun Fitness is happening.
Yes, Free Fun Fitness is happening, and Rec Sports has been moving and grooving this whole entire time. So Monday, they are doing deep stretching. Tuesday and Thursday, they're doing Zumba and boot camp, which is super cool. And Saturdays, they have the NFL Pick'em at noon. So I really love that. So predict the winners of each game's week and then win a prize. So if all my football fans out there, go ahead and just get all in active with that. You can check them out at hccs.edu/recsports. Again, it's hccs.edu/recsports. And their Instagram and Facebook is HCC Athletics. So make sure HCCS Athletics. So make sure you check them out and find out what they're doing. I can't get it together.
I know it's a Monday. Don't worry about it. Hey, one thing that's for sure is spring registration is now underway. If you'd like to register for the spring, it's very easy. The key is registering early because some classes on campuses will have very, very limited capacity. So if you want to get the right time, register early, get your class, and secure your seat for the spring. The registration address is hccs.edu/now. Hey, that about wraps up today's show. Brittany, tomorrow we've got one of our presidents on the show.
We do, and she is our president of the online college, Dr. Margaret Ford Fisher, who's going to tell us how everything has been going with classes and plans for spring. And Todd, just in time for winter break, we're bringing back a very special guest, Sean Fitzpatrick of the Young Center of Houston, which provides psychological, artistic, and spiritual education. I'm excited to hear back from him because, man, in this time, we need all the help we can get just to, make it through the end of the year.
He was a great guest, so we look forward. He's going to be on monthly to give us some tips for getting your spiritual connection and your mental health together. We could all use a little bit of that during this time of pandemic. Hey, Raquel, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I hope you have a good week, of course.
You too. All right, Brittany, we will check in with you tomorrow. And most importantly, we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thanks for being here today. We'll see you tomorrow live, 10 a.m. on Up to the Minute.